Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the postseason. Dave Loughy with Odd Shopper back again, hitting on everything for super, not just wild card weekend, super wild card weekend. We're coming off an awesome week 18. We crushed, which is good because week 17 was an unmitigated disaster that I'd like to forget about. But now we come into the wild card weekend where, look, it's the sharpest lines you're going to have all year, right? There's only 6 games. It's the playoffs. They're heavily bet. But here's the good news. Usually I put this out on Wednesday. We have no props. We got props for most of these spots across the board. So I'm not just going to give the sides and totals for each and every game, but also my favorite prop or two from those games as well that we can mix in, especially on games that we don't love the side or total because there's no real edge. So hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. As always, appreciate you guys being with me here all season long. Let's keep this one running strong into the postseason. Let's go. All right, so we got 2 Saturday games, 3 Sunday, and we round out the week with Monday Night Football. We will kick this one off with the Seattle Seahawks on the road against the San Francisco 49ers. Niners laying 9.5 points here, 42.5 point total. They closed out the season with a 10-game winning streak and just snapped the necks of everyone that came in contact with them. I mean, absolutely trounced all of these opponents. Of course, sure. I know we saw a insane game with Jarrett Stidham taking them to overtime. But aside from that, I mean, it's been a pretty clear and smooth flight through the last 10 weeks into the postseason for the 49ers. And, you know, over that stretch, they averaged 27 points per game. They allowed 14 points per game. They had an average win margin of 13 points, went 8-2 against the spread, covered several large numbers. They covered a 10, they covered a 9.5, they covered a 14. So we've seen them do this before several times in the past. They also covered both times against the Seattle Seahawks team. Granted, not as large of a spread as we have in this game, but the problem is with Seattle, it's just hard to beat a team that ranks second against the run, third against the pass on defense, has an embarrassment of riches on offense from McCaffrey to Kittle. They just got Eli Mitchell back. They just got Deebo Samuel back. They got Brandon Ayuk as well. And you've got Shanahan running an offense. So you can take someone like Brock Purdy and make him look like an absolute stud. So when you look at this, you go on Seattle, you have Kenneth Walker. If they shut him down, you probably have to go to the air. Or if you're playing from behind, that means very condensed, concentrated offensive production through the air with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Can they score? Probably. Has their defense looked better lately? They have. Are they going to be able to keep pace with this Niners team? I don't see it. This is a lean here. There's other games I like more. I'd lean 49ers minus 9.5, but I love a couple props in this game, and that's what I want to get to. Like I said, for this week, let's really key in on some props as well, especially since we have them. Usually we have to wait. One I like, George Kittle, over 19.5 yards, longest reception. Faced Seattle last time, had 2 long touchdowns. Both of them easily cleared 19.5 yards. But it's not just that. I'm not just giving you a 1-game sample here. George Kittle is great after the catch. We've seen that. We know that Brock Purdy is locked onto him as his top target, even with Deebo Samuel back last week. And because it's a lower passing volume offense, and if they do get up early, I'd rather go with the longest reception over yards and particularly over actual reception props. So give me over 19.5 against the Seattle team that's allowing the second most yards to tight ends this season on 14 yards per reception. Also, here's one a little off the board. Kobe Parkinson. What about this? Over 18.5 receiving yards. Yeah, this guy, ever since we saw Will Dissly hit the IR, is playing 80% of snaps a week over the last 2 weeks. He's second in routes run, behind only DK Metcalf over that stretch. That is more than significant in a spot like this. So you're getting 18.5 yards, of which he's cleared easily. 47 yards last game, 36 the week before on 7 targets. Even against Kansas City, 45 yards. Give me over 18.5 yards for Kobe Parkinson in this one. All right, sound the alarms, my friends. Playoffs are upon us, which means that we've got free money coming to us our way. Now, if you have, and I mean this in all sincerity, 2 minutes of time and $5, you're turning that 2 minutes and $5 into $200. So essentially, you're taking that $5 and it's turning into $100 a minute. because it takes 2 minutes to sign up for this. Think about that. DraftKings, links in the description, link is in the pinned comment. Click that. Deposit $5 when you sign up. Put it on any game, any bet that you want. That bet does not need to settle. That bet does not need to win. The moment that you put $5 in and put that $5 on any bet, you are getting $200 in bonus bets paid straight into your account. That is amazing. Okay. You don't need to win. The game doesn't need to start. You just place the bet. 5 turns into 200. Run it up going into the NFL playoffs, whatever you want to do. Think of it this way. There is zero downside. Here is your downside. You lose all of that 200. Then you're still only down $5. You win a ton and you go, shit, I took $5 and turned it into a ton of money by doing nothing. So take advantage of it. Links in the description. Link is in the pinned comment. Won't be around much longer. My assumption is I think only a couple more days to take advantage of this as we head into the playoffs. $5, 2 minutes. Use the link, bet anything, get $200 out on the other side of this one. Make quick work of that and take advantage of free money when it's handed to you. And if you are taking advantage of this, use the prop that I'm about to give you in this game. It's one of my favorite bets of the week. Go over to DraftKings, use this Travis Etienne prop that we're about to talk about and collect that money. All right, let's talk about the Chargers and Jaguars, Saturday Night Football. Chargers laying 2 on the road. You've got a 47.5 point total here. Pretty significant, no doubt about that. And the first question we have to ask ourselves is what the hell was Brandon Staley thinking playing all of his starters in that last game? Seriously, you can make as many excuses as you want, but is this dude not damn lucky that Bosa and Mike Williams look to be okay? They look to be. That would be unbelievably bad for him in the event that both of these guys in a completely meaningless game, of which they lost, by the way, to the Denver Broncos, ended up not playing. But here we are. Anyway, this game opened as a pick 'em in some spots. It's since moved to Chargers 2.5, but you can still get it at 2. And as impressive as the Jags have been, to make a late run, clinch the playoffs, get over top of a floundering Tennessee Titans team in a trash division, they might still be a year early. Look, I'm a big fan of Doug Peterson. I like Trevor Lawrence as much as the next guy. I'm not shitting on him here. I'm just saying that there's still a ways to go. And while he had a great season, Trevor Lawrence having a great season, clearly hasn't put all the pieces together yet. We saw that last week in a must-win game against the Titans to clinch the AFC South. He just completely missed some easy throws, particularly that one to Zay Jones in the end zone, where the closest defender was, out in the concourse. That's a big miss, and we saw a bunch of those. So it's only one game, I understand that, but let's not be blind or oblivious to the fact that had Jacksonville not gotten that huge defensive touchdown, gotten those turnovers, dialed up the pressure late against Joshua Dobbs, okay? The guy had taken like 17 career snaps before he came in and started for this Tennessee team. Joshua Dobbs. That game could have gone a whole lot different. They didn't even cover in that game. So, I mean, the truth is, when you look at this, I still think that the Chargers, for all of their issues and all of that black cloud that constantly, hangs above their head, I still think that they're a better team because of the Jags' pass defense. They're 30th in pass defense DVOA. They've allowed the 5th most passing yards per game through the air. And teams who can really stifle the Chargers defensively, they are the type of teams like the Broncos, run funnel defenses, right? We saw that. Broncos took them to overtime earlier in the season when they were terrible. Broncos took care of business last week. It's run funnel defenses because the Chargers have a pretty unbalanced offense. They throw it the second highest clip in the league. In a spot like this, though, they won't have to see if they can figure out how to get the run game going. They should be able to use Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, assuming he plays, Austin Eckler, all of these guys, Palmer, Everett, and get as much as they want going in the passing game. I think that's huge here because if you don't slow them down in the passing game, it could get ugly quick. And yes, I saw the Jags stomp the Chargers back in week 3, but I don't really think that's representative of what we see on Saturday because Herbert was less than a week removed from that rib injury. He almost didn't play. Starting center Corey Linsley didn't play. You had Keenan Allen out as well. I get it. No team finds more ways to lose than the Chargers. I've said it, all the time. I totally do. But I think the edge is still here, and they get a slight win, a close win on the road against a young Jacksonville team that is close, but not there yet. I do like this prop though. So if we're talking Chargers -2 is where we go here. I like a prop, and that is Travis Etienne over 76.5 rushing yards. Now you might be asking yourself, yeah, but you like the Chargers. Sure, Chargers are 2-point favorites. This should still be a competitive game. Opened as a pick 'em. The Chargers are a clear run funnel defense. Might be the biggest run funnel defense in the league. They're allowing a league worst 5.4 yards per attempt and 146 yards per game on the ground. Unless the Jags fall behind early, Peterson and company would be wise to get Etienne as many opportunities on the ground as they possibly can. Dolphins at the Bills. Bills are 13-point favorites in this one, 43.5-point total. I've mentioned before that I forgot to mention it earlier. I'll mention it now. I like this as a 3-team teaser piece. Now, here's what I'm thinking, right? You take a 7.3 team teaser, all right? And you get that at plus money, at plus 130. 49ers, tease them down to 2.5. They need to win by a field goal at home against Seattle. Bills, again, 7 points. Get them to 6, all right? So a touchdown win gets it there. And Bengals with 7 points gets them to -1.5 against what's likely going to be Anthony Brown. Really like that. Meant to mention it earlier. Bills, Niners, Bengals, 7.3 team teaser. As far as this game goes on an island, though, I like the Bills -6.5 in the first half, which you can amazingly still get on FanDuel, despite having to pay a little extra for it. You can still get them inside a touchdown, -6.5 in the first half. Sure, you could lay the 13 on Buffalo. It's expected to be Skylar Thompson. That's at least what Mike McDaniel said they're prepping for. But I really like the first half here because Buffalo has everything working for them. They have clear momentum coming out of the gate. They're a top 10 defense, both against the run and against the pass. And now the Dolphins likely have to start Thompson, who's a 7th-round rookie, okay? They're going to be almost certainly going to be without Raheem Mostert, too, who's playing with a broken thumb, who McDaniel said it was bad. Where else do we go here? You just think about it. Like 27-degree temperatures in Buffalo. It's going to be mayhem in there. And whether the Bills cover the 13, they should. I would still lean 13 here, lean the Bills. That's one thing, though. But I really like the fact that you could get them going in the halftime up only 1 touchdown against an offense that's going to have to rely, again, on a 7th-round rookie. It's a Miami team that lost 5 straight games heading into Week 18. 5 straight games, going 8-3 to 8-8, and then barely beating the Jets in a disgustingly ugly, low-scoring game to literally limp into the playoffs. I know they played Buffalo close twice. I know they even beat them once in this super crazy heat in Miami, but this is just different. I don't have any props for this game because there's not a whole lot out there. We don't have much on Miami yet, but give me Buffalo -6.5 in the first half. Oh, I do have a prop. It's juiced to the over, but Josh Allen over 1.5 touchdowns here. I think they open it up. They light things on fire. I wouldn't be surprised if we go into halftime and Josh Allen, against another pass funnel defense, has already eclipsed that number, and we lock it up at -1.5 touchdown passes. Giants and the Vikings. Ooh, all right. Daniel Jones had a good game last time we saw these two teams face. I tell you that much. The Giants are 3-point dogs, 48-point total here. It's amazing to think that the Giants are 3-point road dogs in this one against a 13-4 Vikings team. But the Vikings, it's not that surprising when you consider the Vikings are a 13-win team and they finished with a negative point differential. Meanwhile, the Giants had a league best 13-4 record against the spread, 10-3 against the spread as dogs. They've won 7 of those games straight up. And the Vikings is the 3 seed. They've only lost 4 games, but those games that they've lost have been bad, and the games that they've won have all been pretty damn close. So you look at when these teams faced each other back a few weeks ago on Christmas Eve, the Vikings edged out the Giants by 3 points on a 61-yard game-winning field goal, but that doesn't help us really make a decision here, right? Like, the Giants are an anomaly, and the Vikings are an anomaly. You could legitimately say the same thing about both of these teams. I'd lean the Giants getting a field goal, because we've seen what the Vikings are. They got a banged up offensive line as well, which could hinder them, especially since New York has found a way to get a little bit of pressure on the quarterback. But I like the over here, over 48.5, because the Vikings are just a tough team to lay points with, and the Giants, you keep feeling like the wheels are going to fall off. But this is set up as a shootout game, right? Because the Vikings are a perfect team for that. Horrible defense, particularly in the passing game. Really great offense. Even with the offensive line the way it is, they should get two of these guys back this week, a little bit healthier. So give me the over here at 48. Also give me these props. Daniel Jones over 238.5 passing yards. His second best passing performance of the season, and his second and last 300-yard game came against the Vikings. They are kind of a pass funnel defense. Their run defense is more respectable than the pass defense, which is just god awful. Daniel Jones, now that they've kind of changed the offense up, running more West Coast offense, looked pretty good after hit a rut midway through the season. I love him to get over 238.5 here. Even if he's throwing the Barkley, Richie James, Darius Slayton, and like Isaiah Hodgins, this is too good of a matchup to pass up. And on the other side, give me Justin Jefferson over 90.5 receiving yards. It's Justin Jefferson. He's fantastic. So horrible pass defense, allowing the second most yards per game, 7.3 yards per attempt. That's why we like Jones. And with Jefferson, this could be another 15, 16 target game like we saw in week 16 against the Giants. Ravens at the Bengals. All right, man. Bengals 8.5-point favorites, 41-point total here. The Ravens offense is completely inept without Lamar Jackson on the field. We know that. And last week, Anthony Brown attempted 44 passes and completed 19 of them against the same Bengals crew. I know J.K. Dobbins was out, Mark Andrews were out, but I really don't know how much of a difference that makes if it's Brown or Tyler Huntley, because Huntley had been terrible as well in his starts. Without Lamar Jackson, this offense has been not just bad, but completely anemic. And according to Ian Rappaport, Jackson faces an uphill battle to play. Huntley's already limited. He could be sidelined. It could leave us with Brown again. And if that's the case, I think you have to lean Cincy here. I get it. This would have been, you should 6.5 was where you wanted it, even 7. But then with the news coming out, which is kind of what we anticipated, it moved to 8.5. Unfortunately, I can't do this earlier in the week. But even so, it's at 8.5. I mean, not only is the Bengals defense allowing the 5th fewest points per game, 11th ranked defensive DVOA, but their offense is just far superior to anything the Ravens can run out there without Jackson. I don't want to overthink this. They're a remarkable 12-1-1 against the spread over their last 14 games. I don't want to overthink this. Bengals minus 8.5 and under 41. I think I'm going against what most people see in this game, because usually you're not going to look at a game and you're going to lay 8.5 points and take the under here. But I just see this game in a really unique way. I think, we saw these teams last week combine for 43 points, but Cincinnati scored only 20 points of offense. They had a defensive touchdown, fumble recovery for a touchdown, and a bunch of turnovers put them in good field position twice. I think Baltimore finds a way to at least limit the turnovers in this game, right? They can't shoot themselves in the foot out of the gate, no matter who's at quarterback. And their defense is spectacular. They really are. Since the trade deadline, since getting Roquan Smith, they've been amazing. And it'll be their only hope of keeping this game competitive. Not to mention, it's the 3rd time that these teams are going to face each other this season, and the 2nd time in 2 weeks. So like I said, usually I'm not laying this many points and taking the under, but this legitimately feels like a 24-13 type of game to me on Wild Card Weekend, where the Bengals offense does enough, Ravens defense is good enough to keep this game low scoring, and the Ravens offense is completely inept. So as good as the Baltimore defense has been, I still think the Bengals do enough to get the cover, but also get this game under. Just a reminder, $5 into 200, links in the description, baby, DraftKings. All right, let's go with Cowboys at the Buccaneers to wrap this one up. The Bucs are they were 3-point dogs. I actually threw that one in our OddsShopper Premium Insider Access Discord. Free week, by the way, if you want. Links down there. First week's entirely free. If you hate it, you can bounce. We'll refund your $0 happily. But if you want to check it out, get access to all of the guys and all of their picks, and join a great community, it's down there. First week is free. I'd thrown the 3 in there on Monday when I saw it, because I was like, wow, that's an interesting number. It's at 2.5 now. And I got to tell you, the fact that the Bucs are 2.5-point road dogs to me. Maybe it's a trap. Maybe I should be looking the other way, but I'm not feeling the Cowboys on the road laying 2.5. And there's a couple reasons for this. I mean, first, trusting the Cowboys to pull off a big road win in the postseason hasn't gotten us very far in the past. But this is a different situation. It's a different season, so we're not going to put too much stock in that. But one thing I find really interesting is that despite the shakeups and the offensive line injuries that we've seen to this offensive line for the Bucs all season, Brady has still only been sacked 22 times. That's 29th in the league. He's been pressured on only 19% of his dropbacks. That's the lowest rate in football among any qualified starter. And Dallas's pass rush hasn't been as strong lately. If they can't get to Tom Brady, it's going to be a long day for them. And while I have been fading Brady most of the season, rightfully so, he's looked a lot better over the last 1+ weeks. That first half against Atlanta, well, less than that before they pulled him. Against Carolina, they came back, got a huge win in a must-win game. You go, oh man, maybe this is the team. Maybe they were just lying in wait, playing possum up until now, which seems stupid, but they sure looked a lot better. And yeah, I don't love the fact that the Bucs are 1-6-1 against the spread at home. You don't need to tell me that. I know. They've been terrible against the spread in general, to be honest. But they were favorites in all but one of those games too. And if we want to talk about how bad Brady's been against the spread on prime time, because I'm sure someone will mention that, we should probably not ignore the fact that 2 seasons ago he won 3 primetime games in the playoffs alone, and one of those was the Super Bowl. So, take that for what it's worth. But it's less about Brady for me. It's more about Dak Prescott, the Cowboys' inability to get pressure, and also really to struggle getting anything on the ground. If I'm getting 2.5 points on Tom Brady and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Leonard Fournette after how we've seen them look the past couple of weeks, which I think has shown a market improvement, and their defense is healthy, if I'm getting 2.5 points on the road, I will take the Bucs. And my favorite prop of the week, Leonard Fournette over 36.5 rushing yards, -115 on DraftKings. Hell, make that your first bet when you're collecting your $200. It's a great one. It's my favorite one. I mean, think about this. They didn't really play him last week at all. Didn't see a touch. Rachaad White did. Rachaad White has 3 fumbles on the season, 3 lost fumbles. Fournette doesn't have a single lost fumble. They're still going to use Fournette a lot, okay? And yes, I know he's involved heavily as a pass catcher, but 36.5 rushing yards in a game with a 2.5-point spread and a 45.5-point total, to me, that's too good to pass up. I think he gets there, even if it ends up being limited carries, but I don't think it will be. I think he gets the bulk of the work in this one. Leonard Fournette, over 36.5 rushing yards. Appreciate you guys watching. As always, hit that thumbs up on your way out, and we'll catch you back here next week for divisional round of NFL playoff football. Peace.